maybe everyone can take a seat and find yourself a place. I think it's time to start. We are already 15 minutes late, but we thought that we wait a minute so that everyone can arrive calmly. Yeah, welcome. My name is Luise. I'm part of WelcomeAlliance, which is, again, part of ProjectTogether. We are a civil society organization working on many different topics, but me and my team from WelcomeAlliance are working on the topic of refugees and migrants and finding better ways of welcoming people who are coming to Germany and building sustainable structures so that everyone can participate in our society and build a home. That's the mission of WelcomeAlliance. But maybe I start with this building. We are not at our office. Usually we are hosting events at our office, which is close to Alex here in Berlin-Mitte. But today we are at our old office. So we used to have our office here. Then at some point our team grew a lot, and now we have too many people for still being here. But yeah, this is basically the place where we had all of our desks and all of us were working. This is an old stall for horses, which you can see here in the room. So it's a very special building, a very beautiful place. The place is called Rahmen in der Box. And yeah, we loved hosting events here, so I'm very glad that we can be here again for this very special occasion. Just so you know, behind you, you can just grab yourself a glass of water. You can always get up and get yourself something if you feel like it. For the toilets, you have to go down the stairs and then leave the building, go to the left, and there's, then again, you can go to the left again, there's a kitchen, and right in front of the kitchen there's 2 bathrooms. So if you need to go to the bathroom, you have to leave the building again, I'm sorry. What else? This event tonight, actually Alexandra and I were talking on the phone. Last year we started working together for the Leuchtung Ukraine events, Lighthouse Ukraine here in Berlin. And I think Alexandra and I were just talking on the phone, catching up when she told me that they want to host an event on refugee participation here in Berlin. And when she presented me this idea, I was actually very happy because I think bringing together different communities, building bridges between state, civil society, economy, but also obviously between different communities from different backgrounds, namely different, for example, refugee and migrant communities here in Berlin is our big mission with WelcomeAlliance. So I was actually very glad when Alexandra asked me to host an event together, and that's why all of us are here. I think that's it from me. If you need something, maybe now everyone who's in my team could get up so that you can have a look and that you know who you can approach. If you need something, that's Nina, Daria, and then there's also Ihab, and obviously also all of the other co-hosts who are hosting this event with me. That's it from me. I'm passing over the microphone, and have a great evening.
And also a warm welcome to each one of you from me. And as we gather here today for a discussion of the great significance, it is a discussion about strengthening of civic participation of refugees from Ukraine. And I am Magdalena Ziomek. I am co-founder and member of the board of the association agitPolska. It is an association who is gathering Polish migrants here in Berlin and who is representing them and working with them. And I am also the CEO and the co-founder of the Smart Cooperative. And the Smart Cooperative is gathering 900 people and 30 nationalities. and we are the worker cooperative. So as you can maybe understand from my work, we have a great experience of coming here, coming to Germany, entering the new society, adapting to the rules of the new society. And exactly this is maybe the part which was interesting about us when Alexandra invited us to be a partner in the project. And we are really proud to be the partner of this project, and we hope to transfer the experience which we are doing, the experience of entering the new society and bringing ourselves to the society. And this experience we hope to transfer to the group of you, of people from Ukraine, who currently are facing the problems which we are facing many years ago, because many of us came already 10 or 20 years ago, and probably we are a bit different, but still there are things which are similar, and the things which are connecting us, it is the hope for the better and inclusive future here for us in Germany. So I wish you all very good discussion, and right now I would like to ask Alexandra to continue.
Thanks. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alexandra Bienert. I have today two hats on. I'm the chairwoman of the board of Alliance of Ukrainian organizations and a member of the board of CineMova. I sincerely welcome you to our event, and especially our guests who will speak today. Thank you for coming and who will translate. So this event is a final discussion of the project we are part of Berlin, strengthening the civic participation of refugees from Ukraine. This project is supported by the Commissioner for Integration and Migration of the Berlin Senate from the funds of the Senate Department for Labor, Social Affairs, Equality, Integration, Diversity and Anti-Discrimination. Thanks for that. And the project is implemented in cooperation with agitPolska. You just have seen Magda, our partner, Queer, and BIPOC Ukraine and friends in Germany. I am very happy that Collins from this initiative is here today and will also speak during the podium. So what actually we are doing today? And what was our project about, and do we have any conclusions? Due to the, first of all, I wanted to give you a small intro, and it will be not long, but for all of us to understand what we actually try to do. Due to the Russian full-scale invasion, many people from Ukraine have fled to Germany. The Ukrainian community is currently the second or the third largest community in Germany. Historically, many structures existed within the community until the end of 2021, but they were insufficient to systematically bring the needs of this community into society and politics, to my mind. After the 24th of February 2022, the situation has changed. And many people who fled from Ukraine to Germany have been an integral part of the active civil society in Ukraine, and from whom we can also learn a lot. These people are currently creating new structures in Germany. For example, the first Ukrainian LGBTQ organization in Germany, Queer, was founded, as well as the organization of HIV-positive people, plus UKRTE, positive Ukrainians in Germany, or SD Platform. Within current project, we supported these people. We supported people who wanted to establish either an organization here or to be more active in political participation in Germany. We supported them with knowledge, we supported them with networks and ongoing consultations. We had, in general, 4 groups. Each of them had 5 weeks seminars which were going on. And one of these groups was organized by our partner, BIPOC Ukrainian Friends in Germany, as a safe space for people of color who fled from Ukraine. It was important for us to give these people space. And I'm grateful to the organizations in Berlin who have been ready to share their knowledge with us, with our participants, like Türkischer Bund Berlin-Brandenburg, Turkish Federation Berlin-Brandenburg, Migrationsrat Berlin, DAMIGRA, umbrella organization of migrant women's organizations, agitPolska, Midost, BEMA, Berlin Advice Center for Migration and Good Work, and many others. It's too early to make conclusions for the project, but as for now we can see that we helped on establishing of 6 new organizations. So if if my mother will ask me what you have done 2023, I will tell her, okay, it was a very intensive but very important year for us. And at the same time, we saw that people of color who fled from Ukraine are facing here so many artificial barriers due to structural discrimination and racism that it's for now very difficult for them to build sustainable structures. It was very, very visible for us. On the one side, we have new organizations who can be developed, and on the other side, we have another situation. But we have one more important conclusion from this project. It's important to support the commitment and will of people who want to become part of Berlin. And it's important not to let it down, not to let this potential down, because a society based on solidarity is worth living in, lovable and sustainable if this solidarity does not depend on class, race, gender or health. We saw that all the new Berliners are ready for that. It's just I wanted to tell it. It's important for us. So what does it mean for us as Ukrainian community? And I will end. As a large community, we need now not only to think how to build structures, we have also to take responsibility, to think how we can combine our efforts to make needs of all migrants, regardless of their country of origin, to be heard. Speaking about participation, I would like also to quote brave Asa Abubakar, a doctor who fled from Ukraine, originally coming from Kenya, and who has, as many people occur, not a residence permit, but she has a fictitious certificate, Fiktionsbescheinigung. She told me political participation with fictitious certificate can only be a fiction. So for the purpose to make political participation not only a fiction, and to achieve a dignified life for everybody in this city, we need strong alliances with other organizations, with migrational history, without migrational history, with post-migrant organization. And this is what we actually will discuss today. A bit long introduction, sorry. And I would like to thank our partners. I would like to thank Dorota Tkachik, who will moderate today. I would like to thank Tatiana Honcharuk for her input. I would like to say thank you to all of the panelists. And for now, I want to give the word to Tatiana Honcharuk. She is from the organization MIM, Migrantinnen in Marzahn. She will speak in German, and we have prepared a translation here in English for those of you who need. Please grab it if you need. And we have also printed input from Tatiana in German as well. And just a few words about Tatiana. She is a human rights expert. She holds a PhD in psycholinguistics from Taras Shevchenko University in Kiev. After she moved to Berlin, she graduated from the master's program Social Work as Human Rights Profession from Arizona Hochschule. She has worked in women's centers in Ukraine, and for now she is running Helma, Frauentreff Marzahn-Hellersdorf, as an important point of contact for women from all over Berlin. She deals with the most difficult cases and had commented on situation in Ukraine several times on German media, including Tagesschau. Tatiana, welcome and thank you for your input for today, and thank you all for coming. Thanks.
Schönen guten Abend. Ja, ich begrüße Sie auch herzlich von meiner Seite. Und wir starten mit einem kleinen Input über die politische Teilhabe, aber auch über die Grundrechte oder auch Probleme, Herausforderungen, die wir hier in der deutschen Gesellschaft haben bezüglich zu geflüchteten Menschen, Menschen mit Migrationsgeschichte. Also, erstmal möchte ich klären, was eigentlich bedeutet die politische Teilhabe. Also bedeutet das, gleichberechtigt an der Gesellschaft teilnehmen zu können und einige Stärken, Ideen, Kenntnisse, Wissen einzubringen und letztendlich die Gesellschaft zu bereichern. Dafür müssen wir durch strukturelle Benachteiligungen künstlich erzeugenden Barrieren in der unseren Gesellschaft abgebaut werden, und die Einhaltung von Grundrechten ist dabei eine Voraussetzung für politische Teilhabe. Also das bedeutet, dass wenn die Grundbedürfnisse von Menschen nicht befriedigend sind, dann können sie auch nicht politisch aktiv sein oder ihre Ideen auch weitergeben. Ja, das ist Fundament. Strukturelle Benachteiligungen ist teilweise durch gesetzliche Lücken und bestehende Gesetze verankert. Der Staat sollte die Einhaltung der Rechte garantieren. Und heute möchte ich einfach aus der menschenrechtlichen Perspektive einen Überblick über die systematischen Aussprengungen von strukturellen Benachteiligungen und auch Rassismus im Kontext von Flucht- und Migrationsgeschichten geben. Wir starten mit dem Recht auf angemessene Unterbringung. Die Standards in Gemeinschaftsunterkünften, in denen Asylbewerberinnen untergebracht sind und insbesondere in Erstaufnahmeeinrichtungen, sind unbefriedigend. Eine Unterkunft ist nicht akzeptabel, wenn sie keine physische Sicherheit bietet oder wenn ihre Räumlichkeiten nicht zum Wohnen geeignet oder zu klein sind. Ja, was sehen wir in unserer praktischen Arbeit? Haben wir auch Fälle, wenn die Menschen einfach im Wald leben, also geflüchtete Menschen aus sogenannten Drittstaaten, aber auch aus der Ukraine, weil sie die Bedingungen in gemeinsamen Unterkunft, vor allem das Wartenberghofer Feld, nicht ertragen könnten. Ein weiteres Beispiel, dass in einem Zimmer wurden zusammen gewohnt eine kranke Frau und dann eine Frau, die ein Baby gerade bekommen hat. Also das ist auch die Bedürfnisse für die Frau, die ein kleines Baby hat, und Bedürfnisse von einer an Krebs kranken Frau sind unterschiedlich, und das ist auch natürlich nicht möglich, in einem Raum zusammenzuleben. Ukrainische Geflüchtete sind seit vielen Monaten in Tegel in Räumlichkeiten untergebracht, die nicht für eine dauerhafte Unterbringung vorbereitet sind. In diesem Zusammenhang wurde eine Sammelklage vorbereitet, um die Bedingungen für die Aufenthalte in Tegel zu verbessern. Der Internationale Pakt über wissenschaftliche, soziale und kulturelle Rechte, also sogenannte Sozialpakt, garantiert das Recht auf angemessene Unterbringung und einen angemessenen Lebensstandard. Die Nichteinhaltung eines Standards wurde vom UN-Ausschuss für wirtschaftliche, soziale und kulturelle Rechte bei der letzten Inspektion Deutschland auch festgestellt. Ein weiteres Recht auf Zugang zum Gesundheitssystem. Nach dem Asylbewerberleistungsgesetz haben Asylbewerber in den ersten 15, manchmal auch 18 Monaten keinen Zugang zur Krankenversicherung. Und sie bekommen nur in Notfällen eine medizinische natürlich auch Hilfe, aber es sollten Notfälle sein. Bei der Verteilung und Überweisung an Flüchtlingsunterkünfte werden das Problem der Traumatisierung und der Bedarf an psychologischer Hilfe und Medikamenten gegen Depressionen ignoriert. Eine besondere Kategorie sind Geflüchtete, die unter Kriegsverbrechen wie Folter oder Vergewaltigungen gelitten haben oder auch der Flucht unter Beschussen geraten sind. Da es keine Mechanismen gibt, um ihre besonderen Bedürfnisse zum Zeitpunkt der Aufnahme im Ankunftszentrum für Geflüchtete zu ermitteln, erhalten sie erst mit großer Verzögerung professionelle Hilfe. In diesem Fall bedarf es grundlegender Änderungen des Asylbewerberleistungsgesetzes. Ein weiteres strukturelles Problem: Residenzpflicht. Asylbewerberinnen haben eine sogenannte Residenzpflicht in Deutschland. Das heißt, sie müssen in dem Bundesland bleiben, wo sie wo ihre Ausländerbehörde ist oder wo sie eine Aufenthaltserlaubnis bekommen haben. Um das Bundesland zu wechseln, ist eine Sonderregelung, Genehmigung der Ausländerbehörde notwendig, aber auch Geflüchtete, deren Asylverfahren positiv abgeschlossen ist, sind verpflichtet, in dem Bundesland zu bleiben, in dem sie eine Aufenthaltserlaubnis erhalten haben, wenn sie Sozialleistungen beziehen. Zum Beispiel, also wenn man eine Wohnung in einem anderen Land gefunden hat, darf man trotzdem einen Antrag auf Wechsel des Bundeslands nicht stellen, weil normalerweise das wird abgelehnt und es gibt nur bestimmte Gründe, wann erlaubt wird, ein Bundesland zu wechseln, also unter solche Bedingungen. Die Begründungen für die Residenzpflicht lautet, dass die Zuweisung eines bestimmten Wohnorts eine bessere Integration fördert und eine zusätzliche Belastung des bürokratischen Systems vermeidet. In der Praxis wird die Integration von Geflüchteten dadurch jedoch nur erschwert. Wir wissen alle, wie es schwierig zum Beispiel eine Wohnung in Berlin zu finden. In diesem Fall stellt die Residenzpflicht einen Verstoß gegen Artikel 12 des Internationalen Pakts über bürgerliche und politische Rechte dar, der allen Menschen, die sich regelmäßig in einem Land aufhalten, das Recht auf Freizügigkeit innerhalb des Landes garantiert. Recht auf Arbeit und Anerkennung von Qualifikationen, auch ein riesiges Thema, ein riesiges Problem. Während des Asylverfahrens haben Geflüchtete kein Recht auf Arbeit, was ein reales Hindernis für ihre Integration darstellt. Ukrainische Geflüchtete, denen zunächst der Recht auf Arbeit zugestanden wurde, werden von Behörden unter Druck gesetzt und gelernte und daher schlecht bezahlte Arbeit oder Tätigkeit anzunehmen. Darüber hinaus gibt es in der Gesellschaft das Stereotyp, dass Migrantinnen und geflüchteten Menschen sind nur für nicht qualifizierte Arbeit und schlecht bezahlte Arbeit geeignet sind. Und auch in der wissenschaftlichen Literatur, das wurde beschrieben wie ein Paradox der Migration. Es gibt auch ein großes strukturelles Problem bei der Anerkennung ausländischer Diplome und Qualifikationen. Das Anerkennungsverfahren dauert zu lange und ist in vielen Fällen erfolglos. Insbesondere bei Berufen wie zum Beispiel Ärzten gibt es das Wohnmonopol, also in Bonn werden Entscheidungen getroffen, obwohl Deutschland dringend Ärzte benötigt. Dieses Problem erfordert einerseits eine Änderung des Asylbewerberleistungsgesetzes und andererseits eine Reform und Erleichterung des Anerkennungsverfahrens von Abschlüssen. Recht auf Bildung. Viele Geflüchtete stehen vor dem Problem, dass ihre Kinder oft erst nach einigen Monaten die Möglichkeit haben, eine Schule zu besuchen, meistens erst dann, wenn die Familie eine Aufenthaltserlaubnis erhält. Außerdem ist die lange Wartezeit auf einen Schulplatz ein großes Problem, die in einigen Bezirken, zum Beispiel in Marzahn, etwa 4, öfter 6 Monate dauert. Ein weiteres Problem ist, dass geflüchtete Kinder in der Regel zunächst in sogenannten Willkommensklassen untergebracht werden. Es gibt einschlägige wissenschaftliche Studien, die feststellen, dass die Qualität der Bildungsangebote in Willkommensklassen schlechter ist als die für die Kinder ohne Flüchtlingsgeschichte oder Hintergrund. Insbesondere gibt es überfüllte Klassen, schlechtere Klassenräume, eine relativ höhere Zahl von Unterrichtsausfällen, weniger Gelder für die Ausstattung der Klassenräume und weniger qualifizierte und unzureichende Lehrer, Lehrerinnen. Ein weiteres problematischer Aspekt ist, dass die Kinder in diesen Klassen hauptsächlich nur Deutsch lernen und in anderen Fächern eingeschränkt sind. Die volle Bildung beginnt erst, wenn sie in eine reguläre Klasse kommen. Das Recht auf Bildung ist in Artikel 13 des Sozialpaktes garantiert, aber auch in Artikel 38 des Übereinkommens über die Rechte des Kindes. Ja, und dann von strukturellen Benachteiligungen sind darüber hinaus insbesondere folgende vulnerable Gruppe betroffen: Frauen. Ein strukturelles Hindernis für geflüchtete Frauen, die Opfer häuslicher Gewalt sind, ist ihre Aufenthaltserlaubnis, die an bestimmten Bundesland gebunden ist. Dieses Problem habe ich schon genannt, aber hier explizit für Frauen, die von der häuslichen Gewalt betroffen sind. Und in Fällen von häuslicher oder gesellschaftlicher Gewalt erteilt die Ausländerbehörde die Erlaubnis, das Bundesland zu wechseln, also ist das schon ein Fortschritt, wenn es um den Schutz der Frauen geht. Aber in der Praxis, das dauert 4 Wochen, also das ist zu lang. Und wenn eine Frau mit einem Messer zu Hause bedroht ist, dann kann sie natürlich nicht zwei Wochen warten, damit die Ausländerbehörde genehmigt ihren Antrag auf die Wechsel des Bundeslandes. Dazu ist eine Änderung des Aufenthaltsrechtsgesetzes erforderlich. Diskriminierungen von Migrantinnen und geflüchteten Frauen, die von häuslicher Gewalt betroffen sind, weil sie die deutsche Sprache nicht beherrschen. Und einige Frauenhäuser weigern sich Frauen mit Problemen, also die von der häuslichen Gewalt betroffen sind, aufzunehmen, wenn die Frau kaum Deutsch spricht oder gar nicht Deutsch kann. Hier müssen bestimmte Kontroll- und Beschwerdemechanismen über die Arbeit der Frauenhäuser entwickelt werden. Die nächste Gruppe: Menschen mit Behinderung. Menschen mit Behinderung und pflegebedürftige Menschen stellen eine besondere Kategorie dar. Geflüchtete mit Behinderung sind unsichtbar, zu einem, weil es keine Statistik über den Anteil von Menschen mit Behinderung und chronischen Krankheiten unter den deutschen ankommenden Geflüchteten gibt, obwohl Deutschland dies gemäß der EU-Verordnung Aufnahmerichtlinien für besonders schutzbedürftige Geflüchtete erfassen hat. Zu anderem sind sie nicht ausreichend über ihre Rechte informiert und erhalten aufgrund mangelnder Sprachkenntnisse und mangelnder Kenntnis des deutschen Sozialsystems nicht die notwendige Unterstützung. Dieses Problem ist auch für ukrainische Geflüchtete mit Behinderung oder Pflegegrad relevant. In unserer praktischen Arbeit haben wir zum Beispiel Fälle registriert, in denen Geflüchtete einen Antrag auf Pflegegrad gestellt haben, das Sozialamt den positiven Bescheid aber fast ein Jahr lang nicht umgesetzt hat. In solchen Fällen besteht die Möglichkeit, vor Gericht zu gehen, aber das ist auch Geflüchteten nicht bekannt. Und drittens gibt es in Deutschland eine gute, ausgebaute Struktur von Pflegestützpunkten und Migrationsberatungen, aber es gibt kaum Angebote, die diese beiden Bereiche miteinander verbinden. Also eine Beratung speziell für Geflüchtete mit Behinderung. Noch eine Gruppe neugeborene geflüchtete Kinder. Es existieren Probleme bei der Registrierung von Kindern, deren Eltern nicht im Besitz der erforderlichen Dokumenten sind. Und dies wiederum hindert das Kind daran, das Recht auf Gesundheitsversorgung, also Krankenversicherung und das Recht auf Bildung wahrzunehmen. Wir erfassen derzeit viele solche Fälle im Zusammenhang mit ukrainischen Kindern, die in Berlin von geflüchteten Müttern geboren wurden. Und die Frauen können den Pass des Kindervaters nicht vorlegen, da dieser die Ukraine aufgrund des Ausreiseverbots nicht verlassen darf. In einigen Fällen wurden die Kinder fast ein Jahr lang ohne Dokumente gelassen, was eine Verletzung ihrer Rechte darstellt. Also Kinder können nicht Geburtsurkunde bekommen und fast ein Jahr, das geht eigentlich nicht. Dies ist ein Verstoß gegen Artikel 8 Absatz 1 des Übereinkommens über die Rechte des Kindes, der besagt, dass jedes Kind das Recht hat, seine Identität, einschließlich seiner Staatsangehörigkeit, seines Namens, seine rechtlich anerkannten familiären Bindungen zu wahren. Der Ausschuss für die Rechte des Kindes ist besorgt über die Probleme bei der Geburtsregistrierung von Kindern mit Flüchtlingshintergrund in Deutschland. Ja, und das waren ziemlich allgemeine Auflistung von strukturellen Benachteiligungen, die wir hier in Deutschland, auch in Berlin haben. Schwierig ist, wenn auch diese Fälle noch durch Rassismus verschafft werden. Und natürlich alle diese Herausforderungen sollten dann bezüglich zur deutschen Integrationspolitik diskutiert werden, neu vielleicht definiert werden. Und ich freue mich darauf, dass wir jetzt gerade eine Diskussion haben und vielleicht versuchen, mögliche Lösungsansätze zusammen zu entwickeln. Vielen Dank.
So, I would say we start the discussion, so I invite all the guests to the podium. Please come to the front and take your seats. And we'll start, because we're already a little bit advanced with the time. So, come have a seat, maybe I'll stay here. Colin and you have to the other side. Tatjana. Okay, good. So you need your seats. Okay, so maybe you can come to us, and then we place Tatjana and on the other side. So if you could just swap the places, colleagues, with the translator. Okay. Then exactly. Now we are mixed, so this is good. So maybe just take some water. We have 2 microphones, and I think we are ready to start. Can you hear me well? It's all good. Yeah. Okay, so I'm very happy to moderate this discussion tonight. Short introduction from my side, Dorota Tkaczyk. In my everyday life, I work in the private sector, but also my free time do such fun events like tonight, so I very much enjoy working for such projects. I'm also a co-founder and member of Association Part of Europe and also Young Polish International Network, so I represent the Polish community here, also migration history. And I'm very happy to have this nice guest with me tonight. And I'll start with the introduction round. We'll do it really fast to be able to switch into the discussion. So we already heard Tatjana, that you are the human rights expert, and you gave us already a very nice introduction to the topic, the situation of the Ukrainian refugees. So I will go directly to Dr. Bahar Haganipur. So you are originally from Tehran, but you grew up in Berlin and you studied in Bochum. And since 2021, you're the Vice President of the Berlin House of Representatives. So congratulations, a very important function. And you're also the spokesman of Women's Policy and Equality, member of the Committee for Integration, Women, Equality, Anti-Discrimination and Diversity. So also important topics. And you basically have your majors in gender equality policy with special focus on parity in parliament, but also equal money distribution and so-called gender budgeting. And as well, you care about the protection against the violence for women and girls. Then I go again to the other side, Collins Okoro, you are originally from Nigeria, where you studied fashion, design and styling, and you founded a company in this field. But you also studied international law in Kharkiv in Ukraine, and you needed, unfortunately, to flee the country and come to Germany in 2022.
But you also continued your training in Berlin at the University of Arts, where I also studied, so I know the Universität der Künste. And you are a member of the BIPOC Ukraine and Friends in Germany. For those of you that don't know what is BIPOC, it stands for Black, Indigenous and Other People of Color, so a very also important abbreviation. And you are also a partner of this initiative tonight. And last but not least, Ihab Badawi, you are originally from Syria, but you came to Germany in 2015, like a lot of your countrymen, and you founded the Syrian Youth Assembly in 2016 with the aim to basically support and network mobilize Syrian young people. You are the managing director of the network. Today you have already proudly 160,000 members. And you also study economics, political science and social science. And you are basically a youth policy advisor and also the member of the board for German Syrian Association of Aid Organizations. And you also a partner of this project, correct? Good. So this is the introduction round, and let us start the discussion. We already had this nice introduction from Tatiana, and now we want to talk a little bit more about the challenges, but of course also about the solutions. The aim is to basically discuss what these challenges mean for different groups. As you heard, we have representatives of different communities here, and also what are the constructive solutions and proposals for the politics, especially the integration policy, but also for civil society, for all the organizations that you represent, and how basically we can work together and with the common goal to basically improve, the quality of life and have a life of dignity for all these representatives of different communities here in Berlin, in Germany. And what can we do together? So how can it be changed? So I'll start with Tatiana. You already gave us the input. Thank you very much. We heard about the different challenges for different groups. Honestly, I didn't realize that the refugee group from Ukraine is such diverse, that you face so many challenges, and there are apparently a lot of discrimination within this group. So if you could just maybe shortly tell us what it means in practice. So what are the challenges that you face the most, for example, in the work in your organization with women? What people come with, which problems, with issues, and why we talk about structural challenges. So is there a pattern, or are there still like some singular cases, if each one is individual, or really talk about systematic discrimination and problems? And maybe if you could quickly talk about this, if you are confronted of Ukrainians being a privileged group of refugees, because this is something I think that many people might think, that you come here and get everything. So if you just quickly comment on that. Thank you.
Ja, okay, gut. Ja, also wir sind eine Migrantinnen-Selbstorganisation und arbeiten mit Frauen und Mädchen, mit sehr unterschiedlichen Gruppen, aber vor allem Frauen, also unterschiedlicher Alter, auch mit einheimischen Frauen. Also die Frauen vietnamesischer Community, vietnamesische Frauen sind bei uns, Frauen aus Tschetschenien, aus Russland, oder sogenannte russischsprachige Ländern, aber auch aus der Ukraine. Das ist jetzt. Letztes Jahr hatten wir ganz viel Arbeit, dieses Jahr haben wir auch ganz viele Herausforderungen. Ja, ich glaube, erstmal die Übersetzung.
Yeah, so we are a self-organized migrant organization, and we deal with women and girls in different age, and we have different groups from different countries, Vietnamese, women from Chechnya, from Russia, and from so-called Russian-speaking countries, from Ukraine. And the last almost 2 years, we had, of course, a lot of challenges.
Ja, und wenn wir über die systematischen Probleme reden, also mit was kommen die Frauen? Erstes Wohnungsnot. Das ist leider ein sehr riesiges Problem in Berlin, eine Wohnung zu finden. Sehr problematisch, auch also wenn man einen geflüchteten Status hat. Ja, und leider, was merken wir, das ist wirklich eine Tendenz, das ist nicht das einzelne Fälle, aber wirklich wie eine Tendenz, dass jeden Tag kommen die Frauen, fragen, ob wir sie unterstützen können mit Wohnungen oder Wohnungssuche und so weiter. Aber was noch tragischer oder problematischer ist, dass welche Geschichte sie erzählen. Also sie werden zum Beispiel, es gibt auch die Menschen, die wollen Geschäfte machen, also davon profitieren, dass es gibt solche Menschen, die Wohnungen dringend brauchen und dann sie bitten Wohnungen, aber nicht legal, also ohne Mietvertrag, ohne die Möglichkeit, dann diese Kosten vom Jobcenter oder vom Sozialamt abzurechnen. Und dazu, dass es wirklich höhere Preise, also zum Beispiel für Einzimmerwohnung 1.500 € Miete, illegal, also nicht offiziell. Das ist sehr problematisch. Und leider gibt es viele solche Fälle. Und noch dazu, noch schwieriger, dass die Frauen zum Beispiel erzählen, dass sie sollen auch für Briefkasten explizit noch dazu extra bezahlen, 100 € pro Monat, damit der Name steht auf dem Briefkasten, damit sie Briefe bekommen können. Und diese Fälle, also wir registrieren ganz viel, leider. Das ist wirklich eine Tendenz.
Okay, so one of the problems, of systematic problems, is the need of housing. In Berlin is always problematic. It's a real tendency, so it's just not some cases. So every day women come to us and ask for help with with searching for apartments, housing, and what is also problematic, and there are stories behind the stories which are told by these women, and a lot of people take advantage and make illegal business with housing, exactly with these women. They take advantage and do not give any contract, legal contract for these apartments, and so the flats might cost, for example, 1,500 euros per month for one-room apartment, and these flats, it's hard to, they don't give you documents which would allow you to go to Soziales, to a job center, and that this flat would be paid by these offices. There are lots of cases like this, and moreover, there are lots of cases when you need to pay also 100 euros for your post box to additionally, so you could have your name on it.
Vielleicht ganz kurz sage ich noch dazu, manchmal fragt man, woher sie haben das Geld, diese Miete zu bezahlen. Ja? Also einige Fälle darf ich erzählen, viele nicht aus der Datenschutz, aber zum Beispiel eine unserer Klienten, also ihr Vater ist in der ukrainischen Armee und dann verdient natürlich viel, weil es im Kampfgebiet ist, und dann schickt dieses Geld nach Deutschland, damit sie diese Wohnung bezahlen kann. Diese Frau war schon einmal, sie wollte in der Ukraine zurück, weil sie keine Wohnung hier gefunden hat. Ein Monat lang war sie dort und hat gesagt, nein, das geht nicht, also schon wieder diese Raketenattacken, die Kinder sind gestresst, ich kann nicht, und kam wieder zurück nach Berlin und immer noch leider hat dieses Problem mit der Wohnung. Ja, noch die zusätzliche Bezahlungen oder zusätzlich bezahlen die Frauen auch, damit sie zum Beispiel eine Anmeldung, Wohnsitzanmeldung bekommen können, weil das notwendig ist, also dieses Dokument für alle Behörden, um Sozialleistungen zu bekommen und so weiter, aber das auch andere Menschen machen einfach Geschäfte. Also sie verkaufen sozusagen die Möglichkeit, dass die Menschen bei ihnen dann offiziell angemeldet werden können, aber nicht wohnen. Also einfach Anmeldung. Ja? Genau. Dann noch ein systematisches Problem, also ein strukturelles Problem, das ist die Menschen mit Behinderung, was ich auch schon gesagt habe. Und wir merken, dass es einzige Menschen, die schaffen, zu uns zur Beratung zu können, zu kommen, Menschen mit Behinderung oder pflegebedürftige Menschen. Meistens sind wir von Charité direkt angerufen oder von Krankenhäusern und dann uns wird gefragt, ob wir weiter solche Menschen begleiten können und auch also unterstützen können mit Antragstellung auf Pflegegeld und Pflegegrad und so weiter. Also diese Menschen kommen nicht, es sind einzelne Fälle, aber das bedeutet nicht, dass diese Menschen gibt es nicht hier in Berlin, sondern das bedeutet, dass sie einfach wegen der fehlenden Sprachkenntnisse. Sie wissen auch, welches System in Deutschland gibt es, also dass es ein bisschen anders funktioniert wie in der Ukraine. Und dann einfach nicht auf diese Idee kommen, dass sie eigentlich noch die zusätzliche quasi Rechte haben, damit also diese Behinderung ausgeglichen werden kann. Ja, also genau, das ist auch ein riesiges Problem und muss irgendwie auch also geregelt werden.
Okay, so you might ask, where does these women, where do they have this money to pay such for their flats? Tatiana told us, of course, she can't tell us a lot of information because of the data protection, but she told one story of a woman who paid a lot of money for a flat, and this money was from her father, who is on the front line fighting there, and he sent her some money for this flat, and she was also in Ukraine. She came back, but for a month, but she couldn't stand all these attacks, and she has children. So she decided to come back to Berlin. So another problem that there is also some additional cost for many cases that a lot of people ask money for just a registration, so-called Anmeldung, and women just sometimes have to pay for this because they really need to be registered somewhere, and these cases, there are a lot of them, that a woman can't really live in this flat, but just to have Anmeldung, she pays additional money, so then after the registration, it's of course easier to get social financial help. There is also another problem. People with disabilities are also in need. They have special needs, and they come for consultations, and a lot of times Charité, Vivantes, or other hospitals call Tatiana and ask for some help and to accompany these people with disabilities and help them with the application for social help and other documents. And for example, they can have some paper which shows that they have certain disabilities, so it's important to have this paper as well. And there are it's also a structural problem. There are not so many cases like that, but they do exist. There are a lot of people like that, and also they do not have enough language.
Yeah, thank you.
Knowledge.
Maybe I think, sorry, I interrupted a bit because we have a little bit time constraints. So thank you very much. So we understood that basically there's also a lot of abuse. It's not even, I would say, not only structural problem, it's criminal case. If you take advantage of the vulnerable people, so I think it goes even farther, and many of us might not realize that. And I would like to move to Collins, because we need to now also cover other groups, and you also represent a special refugee, basically category of the Ukraine refugees, because you came from Ukraine, but you are not Ukrainian citizen. And this represents an additional challenge, right? So if you could just quickly, really quickly, briefly tell us what it means for you, and I understood you have a very special status, which is like Fiktionsbescheinigung, so some kind of a fictitious certificate. If you could quickly tell us what it means for you, what it means, and which rights you have, and if you can basically have any access to integration measures with this kind of status. And basically, what questions do you face in your work, in your organization?
Yes, okay. So basically, the Fiktionsbescheinigung is I would give it a term, an in-between from an in-between a dodo and a full-on Section 24, where you do have the right to work, and if you choose to study, you do have the right to study. But you do not have the integration helping measures. For example, you can't get an integration course as it may sound. The integration course, you don't have the qualifications as it's supposed to get this kind of assistance. And most of the time, they also tell you housing is also something that you can't get. For example, the VBS, you can't even apply for that. I mean, you can, but a lot of times they give you the Fiktionsbescheinigung for 6 months, but the qualification for VBS is 1 year. So these kind of very small but very meaningful situations that you find yourselves in, that we find ourselves in, are the kind of things that hinder people from actually accessing integration systems. And for the questions that we have mostly in our groups, there are more, most times are a lot of legal questions on how they can fare, what they do on about their Fiktionsbescheinigung. It's running out. How do they access this? How do they go on with it? Or to jobs, and for example, some of their employers don't accept this Fiktionsbescheinigung because they need to see a work permit, or for getting to school and you can't pay a 10,000 euro fee which they tell you to put up front, and all these kind of things. So these are a lot of questions, and going down to the regular basis of questions of where can I get an annual room, or where can I find a new place to stay, or something like that. So these questions really vary in our group, and we try our best to assist in all of that.
All right, thank you. So it's very much about these pragmatical questions, how to deal with these challenges in everyday life. But I also heard that you also basically are a meeting point for different groups. Also, you do a lot of cultural, I think, initiatives. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, now it's your turn, because you also represent another migrants group or refugees group, the Syrians, and you're the founder of the Syrian Youth Association. So why was it necessary to found this organization, also the German Syrian Association of Aid organizations, and what are the challenges that you face as a community that has been a little bit longer here already and have some experiences? What are your main issues?
Thank you very much for having me, first of all, on the panel. What I need to say, it's coming back about why we need to have organizations, and especially as refugee community or immigration. We come to the point where we need to organize ourselves, and we need to have official participation here in the society and community. And to have it organized in a very structured way, it's important to build organization, support those communities. And from this, I believe always the need come up about we need to have an organization able to support young people. And same time, this organization work on providing the access to education, supporting the process for getting in the job market, giving the, doing the advocacy and doing the political push behind what exactly Syrian refugee or Syrian young people need. And same times, like even my position as one from the board member, Vorstand and the WDSH, like it's the need as well right now to organize more in the work of the Syrian society in Germany, the Syrian community in Germany, and as well try to organize this with the need of the Syrian as a refugee here. It's coming back from the need of on the cultural level, it's need about the political participation for the society, and at the same time it's about how we can be more active, integrated in the society here, and as well to try to play our roles as well as a new citizen, because many of the Syrians right now, they become German citizen, and then they have a duty to play here, and how you organize this duty together. But this, in the need of having those organizations, it's important of organizing those communities together and to bringing the need, those organizations, they need more clear for everyone, and as well, especially with the communication with the government here, the local government everywhere.
Thank you very much, Bahar. So now we are very much interested into your perspective, because you are a politician, but also, you know, Berlin citizen with also this migration history. So from both perspectives, what is your view on these challenges? So how have you perceived the difficulties and the gaps we have heard about in the integration policy from both sides, observing what's happening in Berlin, and also working, you know, in the House of Representatives, and also dealing with the integration policy from the professional point of view? Where does it come from, all these problems we have heard from? I imagine also you do not have an easy role, and there are also a lot of challenges on the policy side. So if you just could comment, what are the main difficulties, and how you deal with all these challenges that you have heard about? What is the answer of the politics?
First, thank you for the invitation, and yes, there are many questions and it's complex. I came to Germany in 1988 as a child refugee, so I had the privilege to go to kindergarten and to school, to have all the education path in Germany. But I know how it is to learn German when you didn't speak German at all before, and to not have the German nationality, and to be a minority. These are experiences which I know. In politics, I'm a member of the Green Party. There I felt always welcome. I was sometimes a minority, still a minority, but I felt to be welcome, and since several years we have a diversity statute. So we discussed about the diversity, or about the not diversity, or the diversity which we don't have in our party. And we have a statute now, we debated a lot, and we have a statute that we want to have more diversity for the people who represent the party, and also for the people who work in the party. And I think that this statute and also the debate was very important, because it proceeded, they acknowledge that people with, for example, migration background or with disabilities, they have an experience which is good to have. And this was a point of acknowledgement, which I didn't feel before so much like with this statute. And about the question how to deal with these problems you talked about, we have many problems, especially in the administration and in Berlin, also for people who are not refugees, it's not always easy to find an apartment. But I think that the discussion about refugees since 2015-16 and now again since 2021 shows that it's a heated discussion, that many people want it to be a heated discussion, and that the right wings or the conservatives on the right side, they make it not easier. Also for me as a politician to go the other way, to make these difficulties easier. Because these are different approaches. The one approach is progressive, which is everybody who has to flee has to come here and to be able to participate, to learn the language, to live here, to build a new life. And there are the others who say we have to make it difficult because we have to make it less attractive to go to Germany because we are so great and everybody wants to live here. It doesn't matter if you have war in your country or whatever, everybody wants to come here and we have to make it more hard. We have now new discussions, for example with the Geldkarte, no? That we don't want to, that there are some people, not me, who don't want to give money, they want to give cards. So you have more, you have less Selbstbestimmtheit. Selbstbestimmtheit. And that's a pity. Control, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We'll also come to some more concrete topics. This debate, of course, it's now very relevant and also very emotional, I would say. So in the second round, we'll come to the more maybe concrete proposals and the way, you know, to think what can be changed, how it can be changed. So Tatiana, you mentioned this specific demands of the different groups, but is there also like a common ground, a denominator that you can use for all these different refugee groups, but also maybe also people that are considered to be migrants, not refugees? And you also mentioned in your introduction already very concrete topic, the update of the laws, so basically this Asylum Seekers Benefits Act. What else would you suggest, or what else are basically the needs that you see for all these groups? So what would need to be changed, and if there are any specific concrete proposals already?
Also welche Gemeinsamkeiten sind, ist natürlich, also ich hatte schon in meinem Input Überblick gegeben, und das ist egal, aus welchem Land man kommt, also aus welchem Herkunftsland, als Geflüchtete nach Deutschland, dann bekommt man sowieso, also diese Struktur, ja, dann muss man mit dem System sozusagen beschäftigt sein und dann die gesetzlichen Lücken, die wir hier haben, werden sichtbar. Ja, die Geflüchteten aus der Ukraine sind in einer besseren Situation natürlich, ja, also sie bekommen dann, also nach dieser Regelung, Paragraph 24, und dann sie bekommen schon sofort einen Zugang zum Arbeitsmarkt, also müssen nicht auf Prüfung warten, also Asylverfahren und so weiter, aber hier auch gibt es Diskriminierungen oder Benachteiligungen. Viele Frauen jetzt erzählen, dass sie einfach vom Jobcenter dann quasi gebeten wurden, dass sie zu niedrig qualifizierte, also nicht qualifizierte Arbeit gehen, wie Putzfrauen zum Beispiel oder im Pflegebereich, 24-Stunden-Pflege, dass sie auch diese Arbeit übernehmen und meistens das ist auch schlecht bezahlte Arbeit, aber auch nicht offizielle Arbeit, obwohl sie ein Recht arbeiten zu haben hier in Deutschland, ja. Das ist schon zu viel wahrscheinlich.
let's try to keep it short. So if we could just give a very short summary in English, and then we move to.
Yeah, so Tatiana already mentioned some commonalities in her input, in her overview for refugees. In any way, it doesn't matter from which country you come. You, as a refugee, you need to deal with this bureaucratic system and regulations, and we see a lot of holes in these regulations and these structures. And of course, Ukrainians, now they're in a bit better position, and they have this the paragraph 24, which allows them have the access, full access to work, and so on. But there are also some discrimination cases. For example, of a job center who asks. Tells these women who are highly qualified to work as, for example, as care, as nurses, 24 hours, or other unqualified jobs to take them. So here.
Okay, thank you very much. Just very shortly, last.
Und dann, also. Und dann andere Geflüchtete, die natürlich etwas wenig Recht haben oder nicht sofort dieses Recht bekommen. Ja, also sie müssen dann erstmal manchmal lange warten, Jahre warten, damit das Asylverfahren zum Ende ist. Und natürlich ein Wunsch oder was notwendig ist, dass alle Geflüchtete die gleichen Rechte haben. Ja? Also die Politik, dass es die ukrainischen Geflüchteten waren ein gutes Beispiel, oder vielleicht, also ein Wunsch wäre, dass die deutsche Politik auch für andere Gruppen, also Geflüchtete aus anderen Menschen auch so ähnliche Bedingungen schafft, dass auch diese Gruppen auch mehr Rechte bekommen.
So the other refugees, not Ukrainian refugees, have to wait quite long, and they don't have. Sometimes they wait long for the documents in this so-called Asylverfahren, and the wish of Tatiana for politics that all refugees could have the same rights, same conditions, and this is the wish.
Thank you very much. So I come to Bahar. I know you need to leave a little bit earlier, so I want to give you the chance to answer it, and I'll try to combine the questions to you, as a representative of this of politics and immigration policy especially. So what is your answer to what you have heard? I mean, first of all, are you aware of all these demands and wishes and requests? And if yes or no, what would be the answer? Are there any specific plans already to maybe treat all the refugees the same, with give them the same privileges like the Ukrainian refugees? And what are in general the programs, the initiatives for the integration that already are in place, that are functioning, and if they do not work, why? What are the barriers? What are the limitations? And also, and sorry, it's a last question, because you mentioned this debate, which of course it's now extremely actual. Like on one hand, of course, the refugees, they have their wishes, they have their demands, but on the other hand, also the German state has some certain expectations, and also we notice, of course, also the society, the civil society, the German society has a lot of issues because it's not being involved in what the politics is doing, and also there are tensions there. So how basically to bridge all these different interests, right? The refugees, the state that wants to function. Of course, yeah, right. We need a functioning state, otherwise, it will not help us. And also the majority society in Germany. Sorry, a lot of topics.
Thank you for very complex questions. I try to answer. I start in the middle in Berlin. we have a participation law, which is great. We have it since the last government, I think, this Partizipationsgesetz. And the aim is to have a higher level of participation for people with migration background. And I like the most of this law is, which I like is that the target is to have more people with migration background who work in the administration. And at the moment it doesn't work good, but that's why we have to have a law with a target. And regularly we ask for the situation, so how much more people with migration background do we have, and what can we do we have a program to make it easier for people with migration background to work in the administration. This is something about integration for me, because we need these programs and these targets, because the people with migration background are a minority in the administration, and we have much more people who live in Berlin with migration background than in the administration, for example. And these are the people with whom you have to struggle when you need a Meldebescheinigung and WBS and whatever. The question about the status of refugees. With the Ukrainian refugees from Ukraine, we had it for the very first time that this law, the paragraph 24 from the EU, that everybody said, okay, we have this and we use this paragraph. Never before or after, for other groups of refugees, it was never angewendet, no? Used. It was never used. And this shows the two-class thinking of refugees, which I as a person can't change, which is a big, big fight of all of us, where we all, you need to stand together and to fight for a better system for all refugees, because it's not easy, like I told you, or I answered on the first question. It's a fight, and we all have to fight.
So those were basically the gaps or the missing points, but there are of course some programs and measures that work well as well. Could you give some examples what's functioning, what you say this is best practice in the administration, in the general integration policy?
I talked about the participation law. Do you have another thing in mind, which I should explain more?
Yeah, that's a great example, but like in what it means maybe in practice, like involving the people with migration background or history in the administration is one thing, but not everybody will work in the administration, right? I mean, you have a lot of people who just want to have access to education, access to health system, German courses, stuff like that. Is it like, from your point of view, does it work well already?
I think the challenge is quite big, but I think that we have many efforts too. We have more German classes, integration classes. I know the Unterbringung of refugees is a big challenge, but also there we build a lot. I know it's not enough, but we proceed, and there's enough to criticize. I'm in the opposition, I have to criticize. But about the Unterbringung, housing, thank you, accommodation. Today I read in the newspaper an angry article that refugees are now in one hotel at the Kudan. And that's not okay because it costs money. And that's what I mean about the perspective. In my opinion, it's great. Hey, there's a hotel which is able to, for the Senate, for the state, to be used for refugees, so they don't have to live in camps or in the forest or whatever. And I think we have to be open for these solutions.
Yeah, of course. Yesterday I saw some documentary where the refugees were brought on a ship, like a cruise ship. And it's also a nice way to accommodate people, right? They have beds there, they have, a restaurant, so I thought it was very creative. So why not? Yeah, you need to be creative in this special situation. So maybe one question to Collins. You also, have this perspective of being relatively new here, a refugee with, a lot of challenges. Do the integration measures reach you and your people that you know from the organization? Do you have the impression that this is enough and you're being taken care of, or do you think that there's still a gap between what is basically in the program, what the integration policy does or wants to achieve, and what really is the reality?
For me, speaking on behalf of my group, I would say that the integration, the access to integration is somewhat not there, in the sense that it doesn't represent all communities. Let me put it in that term. Starting from the fact that just being in my situation, or in our situation as a community, in my community, just being non-Ukrainian was good, in fact, for you to not be accepted in certain places. For example, when we got here, we had no, how would I say, access to prior information. There were a lot of situations where people would go to the GHS and say, okay, we want to get enrolled in a course, and then they ask you, are you Ukrainian? And you say, no, but I do have this card. I did come from Ukraine, and they're like, well, it's only for Ukrainians. I personally had a language school that I was meant to go to, and they did ask me that question, and I said I wasn't Ukrainian, and they told me it's technically only for Ukrainians. And it's not just about being Ukrainian or not. It's also about other places not giving you the opportunity to go for things just because you are not in a certain group or certain class of what they would call a first class person, or I don't know how to put it. And moving further, you see that people are also not really educated on how they should react to things. For example, I want to get a job, right? And I want to get a job in a certain position, but they tell me I have to speak German, which is fine. I say, okay, then I want to go to a German class, and then I write to the thingy that I want to apply for an integration course, and then there is a message saying, I want to see your Ausweis, or your ID, and then I present my Fiktionsbescheinigung, which they tell me is not enough for something like that. Then I have to pay. I have to then apply for like a regular course, which I have to pay like 300 euros when I have to work, and then also the same thing, just keeps going back. Then I don't later learn German. Then I have to get a regular hard working job, as was said before. So these things are you require something to get to something else, but to get to that thing you require the same thing that you needed to start from the beginning. So this back and forth that always goes around is something that it's very intensely moving. And also one last thing is the uncertainty that keeps going around. So people who came here were given 6 months in the beginning, and when 6 months were running out, they said, okay, we're going to extend it with another 6 months. And then from the beginning, the plan was for everybody to get the Section 24. But they say 6 months, and the 6 months is running out. Again, they give you another 6 months. And now we're in a time where the deadline is approaching for everybody, which is March of 2024, and then they're still giving people an extra 6 months. So people can't keep leaving on 6 months and then having anxiety the next the time, like 6 months is about to end 1 month or 1 week, and then it keeps extending, and it's really not fair for someone's social, psychosocial thought or psychological being.
Yeah, I understand. So you need a perspective. You need to know what's coming. Yeah. So yeah, now to you. I mean, I understand Collins feels like maybe second-class refugee, right? Just because he's not Ukrainian, but also this kind of misinformation and misconceptions that are there. How do you see the role of the civil society, the organizations like yours, in basically highlighting this kind of dysfunctionalities and this problems and not being consequent in the policies? Are you fulfilling this role to really point out and show the pain points and how you do it?
I think in the end we try to cover all the need of refugees. It doesn't matter if they are Syrian, Ukrainian or from other country. I believe the challenge, it's how difficult right now, and all those challenge how making the integration process difficult as well. You cannot ask people to integrate in Germany, requesting them to learn German, but you don't provide them German. You cannot ask people to integrate in Germany, but you still give them the possibility to stay in Germany only 6 months. I cannot be disabled here to start thinking about I need to learn German. German, it's not, your life it's not enough to learn German. Easy. But this is how you want to do it in 6 months. But this is very important, like to think about how we make the integration possible regarding the law we try to present. This is very important. The civil society, how we try to do it, if this is from the background, I'm coming from the Youth Assembly, from the Syrian Youth Assembly, or like from the German Syrian Organization Union, or like as well from ProjectTogether, we try always to focus on about understanding the challenge those refugee and communities live in our society, and trying to open the conversation on it. And I believe as well from all the search we did and the session and conversation we opened, there is a huge big challenge come always about the language, integration in the job market, for example, and as well housing and all this. And what we try to do, like if I need to give like ProjectTogether as an example, how we respond to this, we try to create like collective action project can respond to this need always, can respond to those problems always, understanding where is the problem, and trying to open the conversation like with stakeholders who can really try to present solution or bring this. And I believe the thing we try to do as civil society, we try to bring everyone together, open the conversation on this problem, and trying to challenge the stakeholders on solving this problem. And this is something we still need to do, like because in the end, if they don't feel as critical as the opposition, that we are opposition on the opposition, this is very important to show you that you don't do enough. And this is where we try always to debate about, there is as well no equality between those refugees together. And I believe this is as well from the point where the Syrian refugee, they come a little bit critical on the Ukrainian refugee when they come, on how the process was for them easy. But as well, we didn't see the whole coins. We just see one face. We didn't see the other face, how challenging as well for Ukrainian refugees right now to go through it. And this is all still gaps between building this and on those goals and force between communities as well. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll also come to this point how the committees should work together, but maybe Bahar, and I really appreciate that you are staying with us, but if you need to leave, just go. But maybe the quick question to you. So you heard from IHAB that basically there are these initiatives and basically also the trials and efforts to talk to the politics as well, to find a dialogue. So how do you work from your side with the civil society, and what is the best way to implement all these proposals and some constructive, basically suggestions into the integration policy, and how feasible it is that this basic process are at the end successful?
I think these organizations are very, very important for our work to make have a higher pressure for more efforts. So in my fraction in the Abgeordnetenhaus, the spokesperson for participation and migration is Gian Omar. You know them. I think he tries to meet many of the organizations of the civil society because it is very important, and I just can suggest. I just can invite you to come to the Ausschuss when we have a participation migration topic. That you come and be there as a guest. There are guest seats where you can sit and where you can try to talk with the senator, senatorin, afterwards or before, for example. This conversation is very important, and it's also important that these different groups stand together. People from Ukraine who have more privileges and people from Poland or Syria or Iran or whatever. I think it's important to be always together to have a voice for the refugees in total against the right wings we have here in Germany.
I mean, one additional question to you, because we heard a little bit from colleagues what is important for the refugees or just people to come here to feel well, to feel comfortable, at ease, to have basically to enjoy the good life, right, with dignity. But what is from the perspective of the politics a successful integration, and what do you expect from the people that come here? Do you expect that just stay there and don't make too many troubles? Or is there also this idea of a win-win situation? We give you something, but we give you something back. There are different groups. So we heard, there are people that will not be able to perform. They're disabled, sick, old, or I don't know, have limitations. But there are also other people who are able to work that are maybe very smart. So, what is basically the expectation? And can we say, it's all about the political correctness, but I think it's also fair to have this discussion to say, okay, what are the expectations on basically the services also that come back from those people who come here?
It's a very interesting question, because I think you will get many different answers depending on whom you will ask this question. I never thought about this question, what is my expectation? I think, good question. I think when someone has to flee, to leave the home country or the country where the life is, I can't expect these persons to come to Germany to be totally clear in their head and to go straight their way and with the administration, with learning language and going for work. I think that this is not realistic, for example. But I also think that the people who come to Germany are highly motivated. And this is a perspective which I don't hear in the discussion. For example, the discussion about the Sozialtourismus. Now Germany is so great, we have a social system, and that's why the people come to Germany. And this is not realistic. For example, my parents, they had this social help for 3 months, and then my father went to this working work, he searched these hard working things, because he didn't want to get social help, social benefits, thank you. And I think that many of the people who come to Germany want to work, and I also think when we give them housing, language classes, and they work, that we will get the money back which we invested. But this depends on the perspective,
So-called return on investment, speaking in the corporate language.
And we need more investment. That's a big fight too. We need more money for all these things. From the Bund, especially, who gives it to the countries and to the communes, to the cities.
Thank you very much. We already mentioned this cooperation between different groups of migrants or refugees. Question to you, Collins. How do you think how these different groups can talk to each other to basically, work constructively on the main goal? despite the differences, despite the fact that people of color might be discriminated more than the Ukrainian people, they will be treated, as you mentioned, as second-class refugees. But still, there is this common goal, right? And we heard from Tatiana as well. Everybody wants to be treated the same way. I think it's the best situation, right? There is kind of equality in the society. So, what is your perspective and your opinion? How the best we can achieve it? How the best, to basically guarantee this dialogue is constructive and considering the differences, but still, having the goal in front of you.
Talk about for us to be able to move forward towards something, you have to start from within. And I feel a form of self-understanding within groups and societies would help go a long way. Like if people do understand where they stand and how much they can achieve and where they want to go, it's going to give you a changing mindset on how you go about things. People need to understand how much they have and how much they also don't. And people need to understand how much they can get and how much they could, if they could, how much they could get if they move towards something together. We also need to start working on, how do you call it, sharing experiences. So, by what Ukrainian friends just started last year due to the situation on ground. But when we tried working on things, we worked on it alone. We started alone. We shared all the information alone, and everything happened so fast, and people got burned out because we also didn't have experience on these things. But now when we work, we try our possible best to reach out to older organizations where we learn more, and it would be a very good thing to organizations and for the communities if we are able to share experiences, share connections, share network, and just have the aim in mind on knowing what we want to perform or what we want to achieve and how much we can achieve if we look at it with just that goal in mind.
Thank you very much. The discussion is so exciting. I could ask you the whole night, but we also want to give the voice to the audience. So if there are any questions from you, you're very welcome to ask questions or just comment. And just raise your hand, and we will equip you with a microphone, and then you can ask your questions. Yes?
No, I don't need a microphone. I can.
Yeah.
If it's the case.
They also read also, I think it's a bit Come to the front.
I better stay so. Yeah, I migrated also to Germany about 6 years ago, and I have also similar experiences, but I think it depends on the meaning of the integration, win-win situation. I would not express it as a win-win situation. The integration means being thankful to the place that you are living in. And when the people feel themselves thankful to the country in which they are living, then we can talk about the integration. And considering the efforts that are done in Germany, I see a great advancement when I compare it to about 20 years ago. The efforts that are done or that were done in about 20 years ago. What I mean with that, there will be always many problems. I think that the biggest problem is the mentality. When you cannot change this mentality, you cannot progress. And it will take some time. We cannot solve these problems all of a sudden, because the change of mentality will last for about 10 years or 15 years, I don't know. But there's also a great need for the workforce or skilled workforce in Germany and in Europe. And the people who have come here also for a master degree, they return back to their country. It's a big problem, I think. is not only a problem of the migrants, it's also the problem of mentality. We should work on that, I think. And the migration-led organizations should play a great role in that respect, and and they should be heard more than ever, I think, because they are the bridge to the communities, and they have already experienced and they know already what can be done, but from their own perspective. And the resources are scarce. We should also take this into consideration, and we should find a balance in that respect. Anyway.
Thank you very much. Do you want to comment on it?
I just want to say it's very important for us always to understand those refugee or immigrant. Refugee, because of humanitarian purpose, it's totally different. Their need is totally different. I'm a refugee. I saw my family last time for 12 years. You are an immigrant, you see your family every 6 months. That's totally different.
No,
that's very important, because who we deal with, it's very important as well to change the way how we deal with them. We cannot deal with refugees.
I cannot also return back to, sorry, I cannot also return back to my country. I cannot also see my family. I'm also in the same situation.
I believe this, but as well for us, like we hear this a lot always as refugee here, come here after 2015, we have the challenge with the old generation. The old generation who come refugee before, they see us, we have a lot of privilege. Us exactly how refugee right now, they see each other privilege. Ukrainian, they receive more than the Syrian, etc., etc. Here, where we have the rule of law, it's start to improve the way how we respond to those crises, the humanitarian crisis we respond. The refugee have a right today to receive the education we receive, the benefit we receive. It's our right as people. It's not a gift from anyone. It's your right, saved by the international law. This is very important. And very important to always clarify those refugee, humanitarian refugee, they are here because of the war. They are here not because of having work or receiving money, etc. This is very, very important to clarify.
Try without micro, or you come to the front? Or
That's okay.
thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. My name is Wilfred Hosway. So I'm a migrant as well. I came to Germany 10 years ago, and I'm a German teacher now. All this debate about German language, I can totally understand. Because I'm teaching right now literacy courses, like teaching people from Afghanistan and Palestine and Syria how to write A, how to read. This is the basic course. So I'm teaching it currently. And I can totally understand, if you don't have access to these courses, how will you integrate? But I'd like to talk about another topic, because the topic of the discussion tonight should be about strengthening political participation of refugees and migrants. So I'd like to talk about that. So I'm the chairperson of the Beirat für Partizipation und Integration in Steglitz-Zehlendorf, or the local council for participation and integration in the district of Steglitz-Zehlendorf. And I'm very thankful that this year I was also elected in our Landesbeirat für Partizipation, or our State Council for Participation, which Alexandra is also a member, and your colleague, Dr. Captain Asia Abubakar, is also a member. And the question of Dorota, to Bahar, what else is in this participation law? And I'm very, very thankful that Bahar talked about the participation law, because in Berlin we have this law that not only encourages people with migration background to actively pursue a career in the administration, but also for people just like us to be active in local politics and also in state politics through these councils. Yes, some councils are not elected by the migrants themselves, like for example, Steglitz-Zehlendorf, we are appointed by our politicians, but in some districts they are elected. But our State Council for Participation is elected by more than 340 migrant organizations just like yourselves. So in this way, we encourage participation at least through that. And we hope that in the future, more organizations will be part of this list that will vote people who will work together with Staatssekretärinnen und Staatssekretäre. They are the number 2 in different Senate administrations in Berlin. And currently now we are new. We haven't done much, but it's a promise that we should be able to address this concern. That's why I'm very, very thankful, because I got a lot of input tonight, and definitely I will, together with Alexander and Asia and Captain, we will be able to put this through concrete and maybe resolutions or suggestions in our future meetings. But I'd like to also talk about one more thing about political participation, because next year is the election for European elections. I mean, we haven't talked that about it, because we talked about first the current situation that hinders us. So my first question to Ehab, it is expected by the end of 2024 that more than 146,000 Syrians will be able to apply for German citizenships. How is this topic talked about in your organization currently? And with other organizations, is the topic of European elections a topic? Thank you very much.
Thank you for this inspiring contribution. I'll answer the question.
Thank you very much. If I need to cover directly from the German Syrian organization, BDSH, what we are doing, we're doing a lot of politische Bildung, political education, and a way to educate our member organization about how they can be active participants in politics here in Germany. As well, including all of this, where we try to cooperate, for example, with politische Bildung, where we try to come as well to push behind young people need to be more active, how they can be deeply understand what's being politics here. And this is as well very, very important. And I did before, like one project called Dein Almania before, about how to integrate the new German in the German politics. Because I believe, me as Syrian, where I'm coming from Syria, a dictatorship country, I don't know what means democracy, what means election. But we are here, we are citizens, we have a duty to play as active citizenship. And then we start to educate those people about how to participate in this election. What's mean? Why do you have to go there and to fight for this? We try to focus in all our way and our direction. And I believe as well here where we find out always the cooperation can be with political party or with politician here. In a way to start to as you say, to start to mobilize more young people in this sector, in this direction, and at the same time to try to present a new topic matter for the community, as Syrian community, to work together with the politicians in this direction. And I believe already right now in the Bundestag we have 3 people that are Syrian background. And this is so good, I'm so proud of this. And I'm very excited as well for the next election to see how many Syrians.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You have there were a lot of best practices, I would say. And I know, Tatiana, you want to comment on that from the Green point of view about this participation and also the European elections?
In unserem Verein das ist leider kein Thema. Also wir beschäftigen uns mit Gruppen, die eigentlich entweder ganz schlecht integriert in Deutschland oder keine deutsche Pässe haben. Also das ist einfach, genau, was betrifft unsere Kolleginnen oder Vereinsmitglieder, weil also wir sind eine Migrantselbstorganisation und dann als Mitglieder sind bei uns natürlich Frauen mit Flucht- oder Migrationsgeschichte. Ja, einige sind aktiv, ich bin auch ein Mitglied der Integrationsbereit des Bezirkes Marzahn und dann natürlich versuche die Probleme, die wir in der Praxis jeden Tag sehen, einfach weiter an die Politik oder lokale Politik weiterzugeben und dann also solche vertretene Stimme für andere Migrantinnen oder Frauen mit Geflüchterfahrung einfach äußern, also welche Bedarfe gibt es, welche Probleme gibt es und so weiter. Ja, also. Und wir machen auch eigentlich oder planen, es war letzte Jahre, aber nächstes Jahr vielleicht auch solche Seminare zur politischen Bildung, wo wir erklären für Migrantinnen oder Frauen mit Fluchterfahrung, wie das einfach in Deutschland funktioniert. Also wie kann man wählen, wer darf, was das bringt und so weiter. Also solche Seminare organisieren wir auch. Ja. Aber nicht so EU-Recht.
So it's not a big topic in our organization because we work, it's a political topic because we work with groups which are not so good integrated, do not have a German pass and so on. And our organization is a self-organized migration organization, and we have a lot of people with migrational background for refugees and so on. But also to tell her that she is also a member of Council for Participation in Marsan, Hellersdorf, and she tries to tell about the needs of migrants and their problems, especially women, to the local politicians. And another thing is that they also plan and already had some seminars and plan for the next year seminars for political education, in which they tell how it is possible to participate, how democracy and elections work in Germany, and so on.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from the audience? There's one question in the back. Please.
I can do it without the mic.
Go ahead.
So I want to come back to this impulse with the Integrationsbeirat, so the council on the district and on the land level for migrant self-organizations and for individual migrants. And there's also in the district political bodies, in the Bezirksversammlung, there's also a committee. So the difference is in the committee, migrants are also eligible to vote about certain things which are in the normal legislative process. I would be interested, because you were focusing on this advocacy topic. I mean, there must be some reason that I see a little bit potential in impulses from the migrant self-organizations into these structures. And when you talk with people which are active in the Beiräte, so in the integrational councils, not the committee, the council, so you hear also that they are a little bit dissatisfied with the disconnection between Beirat and the local concrete political processes. We have a law which was very progressive, but we need to fill it somehow with life. I would ask also in the audience, people with your experiences, did you try to approach these local committees, also the Bezirksversammlung, what is hindering you, what do you need on that? And second aspect, just not to forget, political empowerment is one thing, the other thing is civic education. The Landeszentrale, so the central office of Berlin for civic education, does, in my opinion, a quite good job. I think they are quite open for requests from migrant self-organizations for conferences, for trainings or whatever. So just to... But the first was the question, what is hindering you, or do we have good experiences with this connection to the local and land politics?
Yeah, I think the question of the political participation just started like 2 years ago, and the reason of this because people just take their time until they stable in their life here. They get to learn the language, they finish the language, they start job, and then they feel, okay, now we are ready to think about other stuff. And this is totally fine. And this is how always community grows. Like this is as well when I'm trying to follow the Syrian community where they are right now after individuals come here. Did they bring and they establish Syrian community in Germany? They still not, because they're still trying to establish by themselves as individuals and then come together. And I believe all this, it just needs more time until we start really to become more integrated in this level. This is the first point. The other point I here need to count always about how the topic are hot in those where the people are. For example, if I'm going to language school, how you are talking about this topic in language school for making people aware about this point. If I'm going, for example, at work, how would at work we dealing with this point? Are this is matter for us or not? Because as well, in your life there is a lot. You are always busy, and sometimes you don't have time to follow behind all of this if you don't have interest by yourself to following up. For this, I always see our role sometimes is to encouraging people to participate with this, to try to engage it with their daily life about what's matter, why it's important for you to participate. But I believe it just needs more time until people really feel, okay, we are ready right now to take a role and try to participate more strongly. But thanks for mentioning this. I believe as well we have to follow up and try to see what this is mean and how we can really come more deep on this direction, and this is.
Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more. I think the participation is really the next level of integration. So you need to first achieve, the basics, and feel basically that you are welcome, that you set your foot in the country, then to become really active and to do more. And I think a lot of you are just the best practices of successful integration that goes a higher level to the participation. If there are no other questions, I think can we afford a closing statement, or we are fine. There's a last question, and then
so we will have a time to speak with each other about change.
We allow one more question, and then we close, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We go.
I'm sorry. Okay,
you can't take it as you.
Need to stay here.
Thank you so much. It's not a question, but I want to comment on one topic which was not covered, and probably it doesn't seem that it's the main problem, but it's problem for me as a Ukrainian speaking person. And for example, once I went to the doctor, and they told me you speak Russian, right? And they told, no, I speak Ukrainian. Isn't it the same language? That was the question. And when I was laughing, they didn't understand why I laugh. they really thought that it's the same language. And from my experience, I also have been faced with a lot of discrimination. And usually it's from Russian-speaking people who abuse their position. And they are taking these jobs to help Ukrainian refugees, and they sometimes sabotage, and they are often rude, and I have been in this place myself. And people who can't speak another language, they should ask them for help. And that's a problem why people who came from, I don't know, from Soviet Union, why they are taking jobs where they are not obligated, they are not ethical to these refugees. They don't understand that they can be traumatized. And I think we should create more opportunities for Ukrainian-speaking people, because as I have heard that Ukrainian, I can say, refugee diaspora is the second, the largest in Germany, and we have to create these opportunities for Ukrainian speakers, specifically. Thank you.
Thank you for this contribution. So, thank you very much for the discussion, for the questions. I think, as I mentioned, the debate can go on and on. But we want to also close and also have some nice Syrian food, and then we can continue the discussion also in a more relaxed, informal way. Maybe just a closing statement from what I heard. I think integration and participation is not a one-way street, so it requires efforts from all the parts, from the politics, but also from the refugees and migrants themselves, but also from the majority society that we didn't touch so much so far, but I think it's also an important stakeholder in this game so basically we need to all work together to make it successful. Thank you very much, and Alexandra, I don't know if you want to say something. I just thank you from my side to the guests, but also to the organizers and you, the participants. Thank you very much for this fruitful discussion.
Thanks for that. Come together. Thank you very much. I found great. Collins told, let's share experiences, networks, and connections. I have told how important structures are, and let's develop structures. Tatiana told that participation is about making the barriers less in society and about dignified life for everybody. And I loved, like Bahar told, let's fight together. And I invite you all to fight together, but of course in a peaceful way. I wanted to thank our main partner for today's evening, WelcomeAlliance, and Luisa Gale, who was the main co-organizer with us. Without her, it would not be possible. And I just wanted to give one remark. Sorry, we don't need any integration. We need a society without barriers, a society where everybody can contribute, a society which is inclusive for everybody. It's not about should we integrate or not. It's about creating a space to live a dignified life for everybody of us together. Invited to great Syrian food from Kreuzberger Himmel and to drinks, non-alcoholic and alcoholic, and let's continue discussion how we can fight together. Thank you for coming and thank you for the audience.